Hello, welcome back to another SwansCast podcast. The Luke Williams era is officially underway in the Championship. I know there was the League Cup game with Morecambe, but I don't really count that one because he kind of signed like a day or two before. But officially started now, and I think there's definitely stuff to talk about, definitely changes already been sort of shown and visualised, if you like. And I've got Lee and Ben to kind of discuss the beginning of that with me today, as well as a few other things like the big match that's on the agenda this weekend. A little bit of a spicy one, especially after the Boxing Day result. So yeah, welcome in, lads.
Hi, are we okay?
Yeah, all good, all good. I know you've both had busy weeks, and yeah, Ben, busy day, but I hope everything went well in your examinations. I'm sure everyone will wish you luck for that.
Yeah,
smashing them out.
It's going good so far.
Yeah. So myself and Lee went up to Birmingham, so we can talk a little bit about the match. But before we do that, I just want to kind of touch on something I launched today that we weren't actually in this one, but on TalkSport 2, I'm sure people who listen to TalkSport, there's a new show on Thursdays at 6 o'clock to do with the EFL fan network that TalkSport kind of host. So we are part of that fan network, and at 6 o'clock on Thursdays we might feature now and again throughout the season when they are touching on the Swans, as well as a host of other podcasts across the Football League and Championship mainly. So if you are in the car or whatever and you're listening to TalkSport, chuck that on Thursdays at 6 o'clock, and not just for us when we are on, but you get a lot of information across the Championship, kind of like what we do in our match preview videos, but obviously there's a host and clubs chatting about certain topics there. So something new, so go and give that support, and hopefully if it goes well, maybe it becomes something bigger and grows into something more. We're part of it, and it's a good thing for us, I think, because TalkSport we find often Premier League heavy, so it's nice to see them invest in potentially in more of the lower league chat as well. So show them that's what people want to hear, and maybe there'll be more of that coming, basically. But yeah, let's get stuck into the actual football now for the Swans. Luke Williams' first league game, travelled up to Birmingham, sell-out away crowd, and as I said, myself and Lee did go up to this one. So first of all, Lee, how was your first away day of 2024?
Yeah, not bad. Better than my last one in 2023, which was Boxing Day. So, no,
well, we're going to talk about the reverse of that later on.
Yeah,
so you can have all you say there.
No, it was good. Good trip. I think it was a weird one because it almost felt like a first game of the season, which was funny because we played Birmingham first game of the season, didn't we? So it was kind of like we'd come full circle, and it was almost like a cup final type of vibe when you're travelling up and everybody's got their say and you don't know what team's going to be played and everyone's got their idea. They got the new manager. I don't know. It was a really good away day for me. I really enjoyed it, even though we were disappointed in the end. But class away day, so it's up there, one of the better ones, I think.
Yeah. So obviously it did feel like first game of the season, Luke Williams' first game, but it was also Tony Mowbray's first game for Birmingham. And you said we played them in the first game of the season this season, and it was as much as it wasn't Eustace's first game for them, it was our manager at the time, Michael Duff's first game for us. So kind of weird that twice against Birmingham this season it's been for us new manager's first league game for the club, and the same result, not score but a draw both times. And when we drew back then, we were like, oh yeah, that's all right. And then they went on to be really quite good at the start of the season, and it looked like a really good result at the time, but then they kind of fell off a cliff under their the manager that sort of filled the gap between now and then, Wayne Rooney. But I think Mowbray looks like maybe he can do something with them. They didn't really look that bad, I would say, on the whole, and as much as we drew the game, and I think the way that we drew the game in the end is frustrating. And if you're there, like, it's anticlimactic. It's you don't hold on to what you have at the end. Probably they could have been a little bit aggrieved not to have been a little bit further ahead before we even scored. So I think swings and roundabouts on the full 90-minute picture, we can't really argue with a point. And I would have taken a point originally away day. Ben, I know you didn't manage to catch all of the game, but have you got any thoughts about what you saw from Luke Williams' league debut?
Well, just that I know we're going to compare Luke Williams and Russell Martin for inevitable reasons in the coming minutes now, but just the pattern of how the games emerged when the goals went in, take the lead, concede soon after the kickoff, last minute goal we concede again to concede in injury time. saw that sort of trend in the Russell Martin a lot. I know it's only one game. You can't go off that sample size, but hopefully that is the trend that picks up.
What I would say is I think that trend, Michael Duff, one of the reasons he probably wasn't successful here is because he wasn't able to rectify it. So I can understand why maybe it's easy to become more prominent when it was obviously an issue under Russell Martin. I guess we've mentioned many times one of the big things Duff couldn't fix, first of all, was the the defending, because the goal scoring was okay under Michael Duff, actually, but he wasn't able to do it. And I think going back to the Russell Martin style, if you like, it's not really surprised to see some of those traits carry over. There was a lot of times last season, was there, 90-minute goals being our Achilles heel, and a few occasions where it completely changed the result, where I think we were 2-0 up against Millwall, drew 2-2, 90 minutes, 2 own goals, wasn't it, one time? And another one was losing, was it 4-3 to Birmingham? Yeah, Birmingham. Yeah, when we were 3-2 up in injury time. So it happened a few times to extremes, and you could argue cost us playoff position.
Yeah, Millwall was the worst one by a mile because we were 2-0 up, and it probably should have been 4. Both for own goals in injury time is the part that we forget as well. But
no, it's calm.
But you are right. Obviously, early days, and it's easy to talk about the match. We will talk about the match, but let's also talk about what we saw. So what was different? Now, if you look at websites, I think a lot of them have us down as a 4-2-3-1. But we can sit here and tell you it definitely was not a 4-2-3-1. We were arguing a bit about it, actually, when we saw the lineup, me and Lee, but he was correct in saying it was 5. It was a bit of a weird one. Different situations, you saw a different sort of lineup, if you like. But it was definitely a 3 at the back with, I wouldn't even say a 5 at the back. I would say it was a 3 at the back because the wing backs were very high, and you can understand immediately why Notts County's goals conceded is where it is, and that's not to say it can't work, but just be prepared, maybe, and maybe partly why some of the reasons we conceded 2 here, but they were very high up. From goal kicks, even it was kind of 2 at the back, although Jay Felton sort of dropped in to the centre back 3 as Harry Darlin went up to a right back position alongside Sam Parker, who was playing right wing back, to win the goal kicks. Seemed to be a little bit of a theme.
Yeah, so I was so surprised with how high those wing backs were. I thought he was gonna. You did the chat with the Notts County fan, didn't you? And he said about the wing backs being quite prominent, and I thought, it's quite similar. It's quite similar. Again, I know we're going to talk about it a lot in this one in particular. It was quite similar to what we saw under Martin with a 5, the 3 with the wing backs. Obviously, Manning was massive for us under Martin, but I really didn't expect them to be that high. Like you said, they were level with Low most of the game on halfway line, and it was so open. That was the biggest surprise for me. So there are a lot of similarities, but that one being massive, I was so shocked to see how high up they were. But, it's gonna be exciting to watch. I mean, it was on the weekend. I mean, for the neutral, it was probably a really good game to watch. But for us, it was a bit scary sometimes.
I think he had an impact already in what was seen, and it should be exciting when he gets players into the mentality and gets some more players that he wants into the club for certain positions. But also did see some of the worst of the transition that we were exposed to in the early days of Russell Martin. And one player in particular for me, I don't know much of this you saw, Ben, but Bashir Humphreys. And again, Lee, you always say you don't like stats, right? He's been given a 7.1 on SofaScore. And sometimes I like SofaScore, and I think they're quite reliable, but he was not 7.1. He had a really, really tough game. I don't want to slate the player, but I understand maybe why he stood out as being so much more unconvincing than the other 2 centre-backs, who were Nathan Wood and Harry Darlin, because they were here for the Russell Martin time. Darlin was brought in for it, so was Wood. They would be used to the pressure that this system can put you under, whereas Bashir Humphreys, brought in by Duff, probably is not at all used to the extremes and the pressure that this system could put you under. And that was on display. I don't think necessarily that's an excuse for all the mistakes that he made, but he made quite a few mistakes.
Who was it that he was having to primarily deal with? Was it Dembele, or was it a different side of the pitch?
No, Dembele was up against Harry Darlin, and we'll talk about that for the goal in a second. But like, it wasn't even necessarily him dealing with the threat; it was him dealing with having the ball. That was the issue, not him defending as such. It was playing out from the back and the press being very high. Obviously, Tony Mowbray done his homework and knew exactly what was coming. They were high pressing quite a lot. It was a good press from Birmingham, to be fair, and he put us under all sorts of trouble in the first 20 minutes. But I would say 80% of the trouble came from Bashir Humphries.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I was quite shocked, to be fair, because I thought it would be the player that would really suit that type of play coming from someone like Chelsea, and he was knocking on the door of the first team. That was what we were sold when.
But he got a call up for England.
Well, exactly. So I'm expecting. It could have been a one-off game, but he looked so uncomfortable on the ball. Like, when he was trying to play out from the back, the amount of times he was hesitating and lost the ball and tried to play in the midfield, and some of the passes he was playing in the midfield. There was one in particular I can remember where he just completely misses Jay Fulton by about 2 yards.
Yeah.
And then they're straight at the back three. Then, like, obviously they win it in midfield and they're straight at us. And there was a couple there where he looked really, really off it. But it was a weird one. I was just trying to think how can you defend him a little bit? I don't know and you can't really, because it was a poor game. But I think
he improved
Tymon in particular. Yeah, I think Tymon in particular was way further forward on that. We would say how high the fullbacks were. I think Tymon was brilliant, and his stats probably back that up. Maybe he was just left a little bit more exposed, which he wasn't as comfortable with. Like you said, maybe Darlin on the other side's a bit more used to it. But it wasn't a good start for him. And it was quite similar to like Martin's first game when we had Blackburn away, and we had all sorts of problems trying to play out the back in that game, didn't we? It was a bit frightening, but it is going to take time. But Humphries wasn't the player I expected to struggle straight off. But he was poor.
Yeah, I think Rushworth made a massive double save at one point from one of his errors, or it was a save, and then Darling came across and made a block. It was very important.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it was difficult for Humphries. He definitely improved after half time, but he did get hooked as well later in the game. I wonder what was said at half time. He looked a little bit more relaxed, I think, after he came back out. But as I said, he was withdrawn from the field, and Kyle Norton actually came on. Didn't help us see the wind through, but it is what it is. But yeah, you mentioned Josh Tymon. Ben, what have you made of his season so far?
I think the reason you asked me that is typically I tend to slate Josh Tymon, don't I? But what I've seen,
I wasn't actually fishing then, but you can be as honest as you want.
No, before what I've seen, I mean, he did brilliant against Birmingham. I think that is just back to the fact that he is a left wing back. He was brought in as a left wing back, and he's been played in a back four all year. Now that he's in a system where he's got a bit more freedom, a bit more space down the flank, and the ability to have that freedom to have a one-on-one situation, take someone on, get the ball in the box, that's more suited to him. Like you say, though, Bashir Humphries probably will have to adapt to get used to covering the extra space that's left behind. What I say with Humphries, just to make a quick comparison, last time we had a Chelsea loanee in at centre-back was Mark Yerke. Remember his first game, it was 4-4 against Hull.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Ben Wilmot. Everyone's scared of him. He isn't up to championship standards. He don't understand the hype. Give him time. Sometimes they're young, they're adapting to a new system. They will come good.
Yeah.
We know Humphries has got on both feet, and we know if he's getting an England call-up, the ability is there. But first game, completely new system for everyone, pretty much. So
yeah,
I think he will come good. The issue could be by the time he comes good, we don't get him back next year, and that's when we'd see, some fruit be bird. Like Gurley, we had him for 18 months.
Yeah.
We're also been quite good at not giving players a chance in recent years, and you just need to look at Gyökeres and Morgan Whittaker to highlight those. Look, I'm not saying that we didn't try, and maybe at the time it was quite obvious that something wasn't working, but it's easy to say in hindsight, isn't it, when they go the way that both them two have kind of gone since they've left. But yeah, you're right with Geehee, and with Humphries, I think it definitely looked like maybe decision-making on there. Maybe it was a lack of understanding and the clarity of quick thinking and quick decision-making under a high press to keep the ball rather than to defend is what maybe was the issue, because he was kind of running into trouble, passing into trouble, and just didn't really know where he should be looking to get out of those things. And and I guess that will come with time. As I said, Wood and Darlin would have had experience before, so maybe it's a little bit easier to go back to those.
Wood was a bit shaky as well, though, wasn't he? I thought, especially in the first 10, 15 minutes, he got a bit more stable as the game went on, but he was a bit.
He's been out of action for a while, hasn't
he? Yeah,
he's been injured for a while. But no, he sort of stabilised a bit then, and after the first sort of 10, 15 minutes. But it's going to take time for everyone. I like that he went straight into the system, though. We kind of touched on it.
Cabango's injured.
Yeah, but what I mean is he went straight into the system.
You mean Luke Williams picking the...
He went straight into the system that he wanted to play. We kind of said, didn't we, is he going to do it slowly, or is he going to just jump straight in? And he just jumped straight in. You could see what he wanted to do already straight away.
That's the only way. Like you say, some of the squad have played this exact system before pretty much as well. Coming into January, so he needs to figure out who he wants to keep around, who he doesn't, where he needs to strengthen. The only way to do that is just start with the system he means to go on with.
Yeah, exactly.
I do feel like we're kind of going to be settled for mid-table unless something clicks really quick and, a dramatic end to the season. So what's the harm in really using the next half of the season to bed this in with the goal of next season hitting the ground running? Rather than we'll just get to the end of the season and start in the summer. You're kind of wasting time on you. So I do like the fact that he's gone straight into it. And going back to Josh on the left wing back, he did get 2 assists. He's been getting a lot of plaudits for this game. I know you said, Ben, you've criticised him a lot. I've been the same, to be honest, on the podcast. I said I don't think he's been a bad signing by any stretch, but he's just kind of there, He's kind of done a job and been consistent 6 out of 10 every week, I guess. Defending when he's in the back four, you're probably right in highlighting that wasn't maybe where he's going to show his strengths and have a highlight reel. And I guess that's part of the issue because of defence is what's been under scrutiny. But here, he definitely shone in a more advanced role. He got 2 assists. He played 3 key passes. So he's getting into positions now to make things happen. I think he spoke after the game about the freedom that he was afforded by Luke Williams and being really excited for it. He did give possession away quite often, though, to be honest, 24 times, and he only had 64% passing accuracy. So imagine those things need to improve, but I guess you can sort of excuse those when you saw the chances he created and kind of is responsible for all the goals we scored in the match, or at least partially. So definitely getting rave reviews from that match. I've seen some people actually saying he's a better replacement than Manning. Now, I think it's definitely too early to kind of make that statement.
I mean, good player, but Manning was near enough. He was like one of those players, Manning, where he was either high-end Championship, Premier League, he'd be on the bench sort of thing. He's sort of like in between the 2 leagues.
Yeah, or Luton Town or something.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say with Timon quickly as well, it's difficult to compare pass accuracies because, say now, you take Grimes, who's at high 90s, even 100% on rare occasions. He's playing low-risk passes a lot of the time. Timon on that, when he's picking up the ball on the left flank, he's either going to be playing crosses in, cutbacks. Very rarely is he playing a simple pass forward. So it's natural then he's going to lose the ball more because the passes he's playing are more dangerous.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Speaking of Grimes, I thought it was interesting. I know Grimes in his system is going to, I would imagine it will start to be built around him in the middle again, as it was under Russell Martin. Jay Felton was sitting deeper than Grimes quite often, dropping into the defence. Usually, from what I can remember, it was the other way round under Russell Martin.
Yeah. The way it would happen before was one of the centre-backs, maybe Darling, would step up into midfield with the ball. Grimes would drop back, slot in between the 2 of them, create a back 3 again. One of the defenders would actually be more advanced. Felton... I mean, I'm trying to remember what Fulton was like under Martin. I feel like he was one of those players that at the beginning...
Scapegoat.
He was a scapegoat. He's one of those players at the beginning. He's like, it won't suit Martin, get rid of him. After about 6 months, he did bed in a bit. He did actually look a bit more at home. So, I wouldn't write him off. He's actually probably been a scapegoat this season as well. He's always been a scapegoat, Fulton. I don't know why. But,
well, when Downs wasn't here last season, he basically played every match, didn't he? Borderline, unless he was subbed out for Allen or someone. But him and Grimes primarily was the midfield pairing, and it didn't exactly do that bad.
It was good enough, wasn't it? It was, I think the issue with Fulton is because he doesn't look like a majestic midfielder like we're sort of used to. A lot of our centre mids are,
he doesn't look like the Swansea way.
No, exactly. But then you do need a bit of Jay Fulton in your midfield sometime. I think even Note deserves. All of a sudden, we didn't have a player like him in the squad.
Yeah, I got a lot of time for Fulton. I think he's great. I think there's a clip, you said about the Darlin block with the double save. He does do you remember the John Terry thing when he just like dives his head, and everyone was like, oh, well, Fulton does that. If you watch the replay back, when that second shot comes in after the Rushworth, if he just dives at it with his head into the floor, and I think he deserves a little bit more credit because I think he's
throws himself about, doesn't he?
He does, and I think that's interesting that he kind of swapped him. I noticed that, and like you said, he dropped Fulton in when Darlin was pushing forward, like on the goal kicks, and I think maybe he wants Grimes a little bit further forward, picking up that ball and turning and finding the wing backs going in behind, because Grimes has got that ability to find them, doesn't he, to turn on it and play a lovely pass out wide, which I think we saw on a couple of occasions as well. So I like
a few diagonals
little changes that he's made.
It's like we've seen a few times this season, Grimes, when he picks up the ball heading into the final third, he does unlock the back line a lot. The issue is if you don't have Grimes further back, quite often the ball doesn't get to an advanced position to make that pass. It's almost like you need a Matt Grimes further back and you need a Grimes further forward. You can't have him in two places at once.
90% passing accuracy for Grimes. One key pass. He played 4 crosses and 5 long balls as well. So he's a little bit of variation. I expect to see more of him on the ground and in this kind of system a bit further back than he was being played by Michael Duff as well. But Fulton, I think maybe he's been chose to go drop in as well. So add a bit of steel to the last line of midfield. We had issues conceding goals under Martin. Notts County have been spoke highly of the amount they concede, and maybe that's the reason for this as well, a little bit. And you are right, Darlin was the one that was kind of stepping forward more often than not out of the back line, although it kind of depends what side of the pitch it was on. Yeah. But as I said, from goal kicks, even he was going up to win them in the midfield areas. So
I think we need to talk about Darlin as well. I never see him lose a header, ever. Especially when it's in the opposition box. Now he scored the header, didn't he? But he never loses the header. Every time the ball goes in the box, he wins it.
Yeah, I find Harry Darlin to be a bit of an enigma, and I'm not trying to put him down. But he does this all the time, where he does something amazing, but he can follow it up with something a bit ropey or a bit like, oh, why have you done that? You know what I mean? And he goes and scores that fantastic header from a corner. He should get more corner goals, in my opinion. I think, as you said, he wins so many headers there. He causes ructions, and I was surprised. Yeah, he did second half hit the bar. I was surprised to see us actually putting it in the box, because there's been so much bigged up about that video about Luke Williams and the short corners. I was like, that's it. We're never seeing that again. But we did all game, and I wonder if that's something that will come down the line, and I guess it probably will, because it probably takes a bit more training.
Yeah.
But I think it would be good for Luke Williams to mix and match them when you've got someone like Harry Darlin with that ability. Because I think if you mix in them and people expect you to go short all the time, when you chuck one long one in, people aren't going to be as switched on perhaps to marking him as well, and that could work to our advantage. But that's not what I'm trying to get at. Immediately after, I feel he was primarily responsible for the goal that we conceded as well. I mean, a little bit of poor defending. Now, maybe it's a bit harsh because Dembele is a quality winger and forward, and he skinned him essentially. But I just think Harry Darlin should do a bit better immediately after we scored a goal there, and he shouldn't be letting him into an area where he can run down half the pitch into our box and then score. It was on his side, and he's the one he passed. So
yeah, I think it's fair. Dembele was different class in that game. I thought he was unplayable at times, and I think that this might be a product of the system that, like, Darlin and Humphreys especially, as the two wider centre halves, are going to be so exposed with the wing back so high up. But yeah, I think, when somebody gets beaten, you do kind of look at them as but maybe it's just a bedding in of that system. They are going to be exposed, and I think it would have been better for us to kind of be a bit more solid there. I think we've just scored. It's not long before half time. We just want to see that first half out. But
need to be more sensible there.
Yeah, I get that's his philosophy, and it might just be like, I mean, it's early days to be like, picking holes and making changes and stuff like that. But maybe managing it a little bit better there, get in half time. But it's a good goal, I think, as well. Like that Dembele, as I said, he was brilliant that game.
The thing is with this system, if you want to just compare it for a second to similar systems, you say like Liverpool and City, I realise miles apart in ability. The reason that Liverpool and City have been so dominant with systems like that, where they can leave very few players back, is because they have world-class defenders. Liverpool were able to do it for ages, primarily because of Van Dijk.
Yeah,
City have done it because of players like Ruben Diaz. They're able to leave players on 2-on-2, 3-on-3 situations. The defenders usually come out on top because they're that good. In the Championship, unfortunately, for where we are, you're very rarely going to have 3-on-3 situations where you back our centre-backs. That's not because they're bad players. Nathan Wood nearly went to Southampton. But Darling was getting Premier League shouts before he came to us. But it is just a high-risk strategy. And unless you have world beaters at the back, you are going to concede more goals. And if we do have a world beater at the back, chances are it's Championship football. They'll be in the Premier League before long. So
yeah, exactly.
So I'll clarify the stance on the goal, because I think there might be a bit of I might have said it a bit wrong. So the goal, we immediately after the goal kick, we get possession back. The kick-off, sorry. It's kind of hoofed upfield from Rushworth, and Darling is above the halfway line, the one that there to win the ball, which he doesn't do, and the ball immediately comes back at us and kind of loops over Fulton, who probably should do better. I will say here, I think maybe he needs to bring the guy down in that position because Dembele's then in. But I guess that's maybe harsh for me to say it's all on Darling. We were just talking about his ability to win headers. He's so dangerous in the box. But then on the other hand here, where it's like in the middle of the field, you don't necessarily see that same... you wouldn't say he's going to win every header here. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, straight away concede a goal from it. It was very poor, I think, if you watch the full highlight of it, in terms of the full team play there. But maybe it is part of the system and the way that we set up for him to go so high. Because if he doesn't win it, who's then on the receiving end of the next ball?
It is quite unorthodox to have a centre-back go up to the halfway line for a goal kick, I suppose, unless you're pushing everyone up to then prevent them from playing.
It's not so much a goal kick on this occasion, but like he's cleared it upfield, I believe, and he's kind of already in that position.
That he was that high up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of is in line with how high the wing backs are and what he's going for here. So maybe a little bit more of a product of the new system being embedded rather than individual player errors. So I'll take back a little bit of the harshness maybe, but I do still find him a little bit of an enigma with some of his tackles sometimes. But I guess it's exciting, isn't it? So if he wasn't making those little mistakes, maybe somebody would be picking him up.
Yeah, he's right.
We are right. Fake link the other day.
He has got good ability. He's a bit he's a bit frustrating sometimes, isn't he? Because some games you watch him and you think like he's brilliant. He had some games for us last year right back where I thought he played so well, and then like you said, he can do something, and then all of a sudden he can just turn around and just like wipe somebody out for no reason.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the type of player he is. He's a player who always plays on the edge, isn't he?
Yeah, I do think he's been one of our stand-up players this season, though, to be fair to him. So nice to see him kicking on, and he is still quite young, so let's see where he can go under Luke Williams. Further up the pitch then, not to go through everyone, but starting with a front, what would you call it? Sam Parker was right wing back, wasn't he? And then you had Lowe and Patterson and Cullen behind Lowe.
Would you call it a front five or not be funny?
Yeah, it was. It was literally like that, yeah. Because you had like a front, sort of a front three with Timon, Lowe and Parker. And then Patterson and Cullen just behind him. Yeah.
Parker picked up an injury in the second half, but did look promising. I've not seen the extent of what that is, unfortunately, at the moment, to kind of confirm how far we're going to miss him.
From what they said, it sounds like it's not good. I think he's going to be out for the rest of the season by what they said.
What a shame for someone that's kind of breaking his way in.
I actually think it's a shame because if he's going to play that system with the wing backs, not really well. I think Key will obviously be all right when he's back fit. But it's a bit of an odd position to play. He's basically a winger that needs to track back and defend.
Saw that with the subs as well, because when there was a bit of a reshuffle, I think Cullen ended up there at one point.
Yeah, he did. Cullen finished out there in the end.
It's crazy when you think when we had Russell Martin, Latterboard, they survived at wing back without picking up an injury for so many months. We've now had 3 wing backs injured in space of about 3 months.
Well, you could say 4 if you were going to count Abdoulaye.
Yeah, start of the season. I mean, just literally since like, what was it, November, December? I'm trying to remember when Ashley got injured.
He's got injured again, though, hasn't he? He got injured in Morecambe and he's out now.
Did he? Oh, God.
Yeah, so like, no, Abdullah.
Abdullah, yeah.
So I would have said, like, it's frustrating. You've got the likes of Sam Parker and Abdullah, probably the two that have kind of emerged this season from the youth team. And both of their seasons have been kind of like torn up by injury. Abdullah basically playing all pre-season looking like, oh, actually he could have some game time here, and then no,
he's had
injury
no luck,
stops that. And Parker, what's that, a second appearance in the league? And he could be out for the season. That's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day, and I was thinking about not so much with Abdullah, but with Parker, especially with his hamstring going, just playing that position, like how stressful that probably is on the body, playing that wing back role that he's asking him to play, especially at a young age at that level, when obviously he's only made one appearance before that. You know, it might not be that. It could just, you know, it happens, and if it's a freak accident, sometimes people pull their hamstring. But I mean, how many times do we see him sort of back in the corner, and then the next minute he was in on goal? So it's probably is a lot required in that position.
Yeah, he had a good game though. Otherwise, and it would be a shame if we don't see him again this season. The other three, Lowe, Patterson, and Cullen. Don't really think there's too much to shout about Patterson and Cullen, to be honest. They kind of did okay. Not really anything to. I can't remember a highlight really in particular from either of them. Though Cullen did play the ball 2 times and for the assist for the Jamal Lowe goal, which was a good finish from him. Kind of went missing in the first half, Jamal Lowe, but came out second half and definitely had a better impact on the game. Yeah,
second half in particular, I thought he was good. It was I thought he took him off at the wrong time as well. I thought he's starting to look really sharp. He scored the goal, and then he had that really good chance, which turned out to be offside in the end, which I didn't realise until I watched the highlights back.
Is that confirmed 100%? Because I feel like
no, it was because I was
cop
quite
out
shocked.
for him.
No, he was offside. When I watched the highlights, it shows the chance, and then the assistant has got his flag up. So if he had scored, I think it would have been offside. But
who played the ball in for that? Was that Parker?
No, it was Grimes, I think.
Grimes.
That was a lovely ball in.
Only plays sideways and backwards. Though.
Oh, he just got in in between the two centre halves, didn't he? And Grimes just put it in
lovely.
We were right behind it. Yeah,
it was criminal that even if it's offside, it was criminal that Lowe didn't score. But he'd beat the keeper as well. The keeper was like, I'm done. He was just there I can't save this, and then he hit it over the net.
But it felt like he was just coming into the game so much. Like he scored the goal, then he had that chance, and then he started to sort of come into the game, and then he went off. Then
he had a bit of a run, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. That's true.
He charged down a ball, didn't he, and running. Yeah.
So it was like that 10-minute spell where he was. He looked really sharp, and then he went off. But maybe the decision had already been made that they were making the change.
And Yates came on and also missed a glorious chance for us to bury the game.
He had to score. He had to score there. I've seen the highlights back. If he stretches his leg out, he scores.
Have you seen him, Ben?
I have not, actually. I'm not sure I want to by the sounds of it.
Is another low cross in actually from the same side. Was it Timon again?
It was Timon, yeah.
Timon again. And Yates is just that yard behind the ball where he can't just tap it in, if you like.
No.
But as Lee's saying, he doesn't make any attempt to stretch his body either or slide in or something, just chuck yourself at the ball. And
he stays on his feet. He ends up still on his feet. Like if he slides in or even just throws himself at it a bit more, I think he scores. You only got to get a touch on it. But for him to still be upright on his feet, I think it looked worse on the replay than it did in the stadium. When I saw it, I thought, he did look a little bit too far away from it, even if he stretched out. But when I saw the highlights, I think if he stretches out, he scores. And there's game over then.
Yeah, it definitely would have been game over. 3-1. I don't think they were coming back from that. And I still maintain, as much as they were good chances created, they could have scored 3 in the first half. So,
they had plenty of chances.
We would have taken it. Don't get me wrong, but I just mean we can't be that. We can't be that angry about the result on the basis of the 90 minutes. Speaking of chances missed, they scored after that. We'll talk about their goal in a sec. But while we're on missed chances, Joe Allen also missed an absolute golden opportunity as well.
I couldn't believe that. He literally had to connect with it, and he would have scored. And I think it just fell to the wrong person at the wrong time.
So I think it was Tyman again with the ball in though.
He had acres of space. Joe Allen did though. He picked him up like right on the edge of the box, and I think he just has to get it on target, and he just completely misses it. And it was like right after they scored.
Sounds like it should have ended about 4-4, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it could have.
I think the Luke Williams games are going to be a lot like this. I think it's going to be absolute carnage with the way we
didn't really create any chances in the first half other than the goal from the corner. And at half time, it was like difficult to see us getting many opportunities. And it was like, right, we just need to sort ourselves out of the back. But we definitely did create chances in the second half. Yeah. We were lucky at half time not to be 3-1 down, let's be real. So when we did then create in the second half and went ahead and only held on, and well, we didn't hold on, that's why I felt like such a kicker. But, on the base of the game, like, yeah, it could have been a high score in each way, but maybe they definitely won the first half. We won the second half, I would say. They came into it a bit at the end, of course, as we naturally sat back. But I think with the subs as well, it was some wonky positioning in the midfield when the subs were made, and that's the whole square pegs in round hole thing that was going on. Joe Allen replacing Parker, which put Cullen out wide on the wing-back position. Norton was on, not to say he done anything wrong specifically, but someone that's really rarely found himself in a matchday squad recently, coming on for Humphreys. Patino, who we haven't mentioned, who still couldn't get a start, coming on for Patterson, and you know what? I'm going to go in on him in a minute, so be prepared. And Yates coming on for Lowe's, like for like, isn't it? But obviously Patterson and Cullen, who started behind the striker, and it ended with Allen and Patino. And for me, I know people consider Patino a bit more attacking, but he isn't a 10, I don't think. Personally, not the same sort of player as what Patterson will give you. And I feel like there's not that much attack left on the field at the end. If you've got Cullen in a wing-back position and Yates up top, obviously you've got Tyman creating all the chances on one side, essentially, is what we ended up with. We just couldn't finish them. But yeah, Joe Allen kicked the air. I thought that he'd got blocked. The shot had got blocked when I saw it in the stadium. But yeah, if he connects with that, it's a goal. And that was after they equalised in the 95th minute. So that would have been like limbs in the way end.
That would have been absolute chaos if he had scored there. Yeah, it was literally the next move after the goal, wasn't it? Yeah. After their equaliser. Oh my god.
So let's talk about that equaliser. Now, I'm sorry you haven't witnessed the highlights, Ben, for this, but maybe it's for the best. I don't know.
I've seen this goal.
Okay, well, so Dembele, it is with the run, I think, from a throw-in around the halfway line, runs into our midfield outside the box. Joe Allen is tracking him. He does Joe Allen. Fair enough. I was originally frustrated with Allen. I thought maybe he should have brought him down. But I think, to be fair to Allen, there's enough players there to not have to do that. And I think it's still defendable. To which Fulton and Grimes now take over marking Dembele. And that's fine. They got him under control. Jordan James is kind of in a bit of space here with Patino blocking the pass. Patino then decides, do you know what? I'm going to come to the guy that's already being marked by the other two midfielders and just leaves his man. Comes towards the ball. As soon as he arrives at the scene, the pass is played and Jordan James is in an absolute field on his own and just picks his spot. And hell of a finish. You can't take anything away from the finish. But I'm sorry for everyone that loves Charlie Patino and thinks he should start all the time. That is why he's not starting. His positioning off the ball and defensive work is just not as good as the other midfield options. And Joe Allen came on the pitch before him as well, so that says a lot to me. That's fourth choice now, behind Grimes, Fulton, Allen. Allen, who's been out for the season so far, basically. I'm not saying Charlie Patino's a bad player, but ultimately, as much as I said it was a fair result, that cost us a win.
He's a bit of an awkward player to try and place, isn't he? Like, the best comparison I can make is remember when George Byers was here. Wasn't sure if he was a 10 and 8 to 6. Maybe that's Patino's sort of problem. He's probably got the final third ability, but then on the ball, but then off the ball, like you say, leaves a lot to be desired. I don't know, running with the ball, that's probably what's holding him back from being a number 10, maybe. Like, on the ball, when he plays a pass, he looks like a 10. Yeah. But then to be a number 10, you probably got to have a bit more Jamie Patterson about you and be able to beat a man. I don't know, like off the ball, I agree with you though. Like quite often this season, you've seen him pick up the ball on the edge of the box and then just dilly-dally and lose it. And it's like, well, you just need to play a simple pass.
Yeah, but here, just keep to your man. Like, you don't leave someone on their own and go and mark someone that's got two players not allowing him to go anywhere. Dembele wasn't going anywhere. He was kind of just doing some fancy stuff on the ball, trying to get a bit of space. Grimes and Felton are not diving in, you know. We could argue maybe they could have tried to stick a foot and get the ball, but I think they were just letting him have the ball in an area he wasn't doing anything. Now, the gap was created because Coutinho left his man. So Jordan James seen that, like, oh, he's like, leave him here, he's running towards the ball. I'm just going to move forward to better passes now on. And he was in a lot of space then. He was in a lot of space. Coutinho needs to stay there and block that pass. If he does that, I don't know where Dembele goes, but he's probably not creating a chance. And, you know, the rest is history, ultimately. And maybe Coutinho is better starting games. I don't have confidence right now in him coming on to see a game out. I don't think he's got the off the ball mentality yet. I'm sure he will develop. I'm sure it will come. I know that's why he's been sent on loan to the Championship. Ultimately, we see in links with Juventus, but is there any merit there? Because again, towards the end of January, and I would have thought he'd been recalled by now if there was something going on. Really.
I'm surprised he hasn't been recalled. I kind of assumed that the reason he wasn't playing is because we thought the recall was inevitable. But now here we are, midway through January, he's still here. So the recall obviously isn't happening. Arsenal obviously don't think it's worth sending him anywhere else because they don't think he'll play anymore elsewhere potentially, or they don't want to disrupt the loan. I don't know, it's an odd one.
I mean, for Arsenal, we're going to play a style that's more akin to what you'd be expected to do there, potentially now. I'd say he's had a good season with us, you know. I just want to highlight there's definitely flaws there. And, you know, the big debate is Felton or Coutinho, isn't it? And I thought Felton had a much better game, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if you've got to play, you know, Grimes is nailed on, isn't he? And I think if you've got to play someone to complement him, I think it's got to be Felton over Coutinho, like you said, with the off the ball stuff. I think it's something we highlighted even when Duff was here. I can't remember what game it was, but there was another one where he ghosts away from his man, or he doesn't close somebody down, and we can see the goal from it. And I think the next game he was dropped, wasn't he? And then everyone started kicking off why was he dropped, and he should be starting. And I think that's kind of what kicked it off. And we looked at it and we said, well, there's a couple of times now where you look at some of the goals we can see that he's not pressed his man, or like in the Birmingham game, when you look at it, he like vacates Jordan James and he leaves him in that space. Again, it's unlucky because he's still got a lot to do from there. He's a belter of a goal. I mean, you're happy for somebody to have a shot from there, but at the end of the day, like you said, he does leave him in space. He leaves him. If he doesn't leave him, then it probably doesn't happen. But
you can't get the shot away, probably, if he doesn't leave him. I doubt the pass is even played.
Patino's so frustrating because you know there's a player in there. You know he's a good player, but it's just something that's just not quite clicking with us at the moment. I think if you can unlock it somehow, hopefully Luke Williams finds the way to play him and get him back to his best. But we just haven't seen it yet. And I think where people are getting a bit annoyed is that a lot of people come at you with like, he's like the best player we've got, and you know, Duff should have been starting him, and that was his biggest mistake. And now, you know, I think it speaks volumes when you've had Duff, Sheehan, and now Williams, who started him on the bench.
Well, Sheehan said,
got to be something in there.
Sheehan answered the question, and this is when what he said was, I see him in training every day. I've worked with him more than anyone else. So, like, even when Duff was here, as assistant manager, I worked with him more than anyone else, including Duff. Obviously, he did start getting dropped towards the end of Michael Duff's more regularly, and that continued into Sheehan's. And he basically said he's got things to work on in training, especially off the ball and kind of like what we're talking about now. That's what he said. And if you want I can't give a better example than to what happened in this game. Now, maybe it would have been like a smash and grab or on the balance of the game, like we've got a really good away win there against the total balance of the game, but you take that all day long. They worked hard after they went ahead to kind of keep that. And one player, but there, has had a little bit of a lapse in concentration, not kept to the position and the plan and the tactics, and kind of cost the team the game. And I know they'll be in it together and they'll take the loss together as a team, but that is on him on this occasion. I think everyone else kind of did their job. You could argue one or two could have done it a tiny bit better. I think Alan could have brought someone down, but I understand why he wouldn't, knowing there's other players kind of there to still kind of defend. And there wasn't any immediate danger at that point. The danger was created when you leave a man unmarked with, like, he literally had 3 or 4 seconds to tee himself up and take a shot on before anyone could close him down because of how far away he was from everyone else at that time. And that's shocking, really, in midfield, when there's 4 of them in midfield. So you should never have that space. And there's no reason to go to a man that's already marked by 2 players, in my opinion. But there we go. That's Charlie Patino. I think he's not really competing with Grimes and Fulton right now. I think he's more competing for the one ahead. And do we think he's got the... Are we looking to bring someone in there that's a bit more attacking? Like, what do you think? Does he have somewhere that he can start and do a job? Or
I mean, what I'd say is that, let's say, God forbid, Grimes picks up an injury. Wouldn't you be happy Charlie Patino's here then? But until that happens, is he just sort of like a Grimes understudy?
Do you think he does the same job as Grimes?
I think he's the closest thing we have to him. Or maybe I'm making that link because he's left-footed, but if you did it like for like swap, would he be as good as Grimes? No. But is he as close as we can get? Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
because one thing that's underrated is range of passing is really good as well. We don't really see it enough, but when he goes for it, it's similar to Grimes in that respect.
Yeah. I would imagine the reason Arsenal sending him on loan is for these off the ball, like go to the Championship where it can be quite difficult with some of these things to learn that side of your game. It's probably why he's not featured as much in their first team, and that's probably the reason for it. So that's fine. He's here to learn, and I'm happy for that. And he's been a good player for us. I want him to continue to learn, and I hope Luke Williams can get the best out of him. And we see him starting games at the end of the season.
He was great off the ball in that West Brom game. We said, didn't we, on the video after the West Brom game?
Yeah,
he was brilliant. He chased everything down. It seemed like he was really making a point of doing it as well.
I think that.
Well, that was after the comment that she had made.
Exactly. Yeah.
That game was that game was very rough. A lot of 50-50s. I feel like we're not going to see a game like that for a very long time now.
No. But it is frustrating because there's definitely a really good player in there. If they can find the way to do it, there's no doubt he's a good player. It's just frustrating, and you can understand why 3 managers now have sort of said, he's going to be on the bench, instead of someone like Fulton, who will stick to the job and will throw his body around every game. So it makes sense.
I mean, that's what you get from Fulton, isn't it? You get that, you know what you get in there, and he doesn't really make those mistakes. But yeah, carry on, Ben.
I was saying there was a spell in the season where Grimes and Patino would play together, and that's actually what saved Michael Duff's job for a little while anyway.
Wasn't that was after we were talking about it, saying that definitely wouldn't work.
Yeah, that was a quote from me, definitely. To be fair, what did I say? It's because Patino and Grimes off the ball together wouldn't work. And
I mean,
Patino's not playing.
He went on that 4-match winning spell, didn't he? After like when it was kind of do or die, and it worked for a bit until it didn't. So you weren't really wrong. He was just kind of just a bit delayed. And we went 1-0 down against Plymouth. I think it was the game after we said this.
And that was brilliant. That's probably one of our best performances of the season still, to be fair. Yeah. That was a brilliant game.
Definitely. Okay, we'll talk about some transfer news before we move on briefly to the Southampton game. Brandon Cooper has left Swansea. I think it's undisclosed fee. I'm not really sure. Do you know the cost anywhere?
Hasn't said. I mean, we can assume. I'm pretty sure he only had 6 months on his deal. It's going to be a couple $100,000 at most, you'd imagine.
It's difficult to kind of get those figures sometimes when it's undisclosed. Gone to Leighton Orient. A bit weird because he kind of got recalled. They were saying it was because of a red card he received for a intentional elbow, I believe it was. So the fans thought he had a really good start of the season. He did this red card and then was never the same by all accounts. Got recalled by Swansea, but now he's gone back there. So they must have definitely had a good time, or at least thought enough of him to get him permanent. So good luck to Brandon Cooper, one I thought maybe would have broke through in the Swansea squad. He started under under Russell Martin. He started in the centre of the back 3 because we had injuries, and he looked okay. I think it was a couple of shaky moments, and he was a youth player that was kind of really thrown in at the deep end, so you could understand why some of the stuff was happening. But then everyone came back from injury and he just disappeared. And I thought that was harsh.
The key moment for me in his career at the Swans was he was on loan at Newport, absolutely smashing again, rave reviews, gets recalled by Steve Cooper, and we were going for automatic promotion at the time. Keep in mind, if I'm correct, if it was that season. Looked like he could have played a part and then got injured for the rest of the season, like his first training session. If he had actually stayed fit and had a little run, at worst case, I think he's getting a permanent move to League One that summer, if not featuring in the squad. So yeah, gutting for him. His career's not over, don't get me wrong, he's still not old by any means, but you just feel like that was his best shot at like getting to a higher level. It was the right time, the right manager for him, and injury took it away from him.
Yeah, so he's gone to Leyton Orient, and I don't know how they do it in the league. I will find out now. So in League One, they're in 10th. They're in with a shout of, well, actually,
the
League One's kind of not that competitive this season by the look of it. God, that's a big gap to the playoffs, isn't it? Like
10th is misleading. Normally 10th.
Basically, got 8th up is 8th up is challenging from playoffs. That's the table's kind of done on the beach.
League One is horrendous. I mean, they used to say like how competitive the Championship was, but I think League One's just as bad now. There's some big teams in there.
I wouldn't say it's that competitive. It looks like a table of two halves.
Not competitive. I guess competitive is the wrong word, but I think it's easy to slide, isn't it?
Unbalanced.
You've got a good title race on, to be fair. You've got Portsmouth in first for 53, and
that's the top Oxford, 6, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, Oxford in 6th. They're only 4 points behind them.
Yeah, it's mental. Wasn't it League One last year or the year before when it was like all 9 teams or something could have got relegated on the last day because they were all like a point apart or something? It was ridiculous. It was something like that.
Sure, it doesn't look like that's going to happen this year, does it?
No. But I think like it's just such an odd league, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. So that's Brandon Cooper. We've also got Matthew Sorinola, who isn't obviously Swans anymore, but was a free transfer. Some people were like, should we go in for him? Should we have another look? He's gone to Plymouth on a free. Left Union. I didn't realise. Union, when he signed for Union, they just got promoted. They're like smashing it in Belgium now.
Yeah.
Doing really well in Europe. That's probably why he's not really getting in the team, I'd imagine. One that maybe we could have revisited.
I'd say no, and Plymouth's probably the right style of club and the right level for him.
Yeah, don't have to worry about defending, just score more.
He didn't really do it for me, I think. He had a couple of good games, but not really. Especially if we're looking at this new system, he's not going to be that wing back. It's just no way.
Well, he fell out of favour under Martin, didn't he, really?
Yeah.
And Latty was
said
starting
a lot,
ahead of him.
considering a lack of options, has said a lot that he fell out of favour, and his versatility, because he could play on both flanks and he still
like we said, he was playing Bodia and Darlin on the right ahead of him, so it said a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of versatility, one thing we didn't mention about the game, was Ogbeta actually got on the bench. Left wing back, and maybe there's a future for him here yet.
That was such an odd one. You always think what's going to happen. What players are going to be in and out of favour when a new manager comes in. But then for him to be missing for years, and then they put that video out, didn't they? They put that video out, didn't they, of him and Velassi doing some training together, and then he was on the bench out of nowhere. So maybe he's just the type of wing back that can play in this system. Maybe he fits it well.
The thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone that Notts County were tracking about maybe getting on loan. The profile.
Yeah, maybe.
He did well when he was at Peterborough. I know he dropped down the league, but Wrexham, you've seen Notts County are a bit similar now as well. I'm guessing some of the signings that some teams in League Two are able to make. You never know. Good shout.
Luke Williams was talking about him this week, saying he actually really likes him. So we'll see if he gets on a pitch. He's an attack. He was brought in as an attacking fullback, wasn't he? Russell Martin didn't seem to care so much. I think he did have a lot of injuries in his time here. I think when he was signed, though, Russell Martin probably threw his toys out the pram afterwards, didn't he, about other things, and it didn't feel like he was someone he wanted. And I think the players that were signed that he didn't necessarily want didn't seem to get used.
It was so strange, wasn't it? I was quite excited for him. I thought that's the sort of signings we need to make more of.
Yeah.
bit left field, bit last minute out of the blue because we weren't linked with him and it just happened on deadline day. Desperate for a wing back. Okay, wasn't your first choice. Okay, maybe not the best on the ball, but then you persist with Latterbordy at wing back. Okay, he hasn't got the physical profile you'd want as a wing back. So I was disappointed when he wasn't played, and then obviously injury after injury, and now here we are. He's played what, like 3 games in, how long's it been? Was it January? 2 years?
I can't even remember him kicking a ball.
Has it been 2 years, 18 months? He's a bit of a blur now. I don't know how long he's been here for.
Yeah, I forgot what he looked like. I think he's grown his hair out since I last saw him.
That's mental. He's only 22 still.
No, he's still young. He's still got potential. And for me, I know he's been injured this season, but Choa On, we haven't seen either, and he's been in the matchday squad on the bench often, but Ogbetta's come on now instead. So that has got to say something about what the manager's thoughts are. I would have thought. We'll see going forward.
He's been here 2 years, just to say. Ogbetta.
Yeah, 2 years January, wasn't it? Yeah. I saw a small link with, you said Notts County players. Jody Jones, I saw a small link with potentially. I know there was a lot said about the striker. But Jody Jones, he's only down there because of injury record himself, really, in League Two. Someone that was doing good stuff for Coventry. But he's done really well at Notts County. And I think a lot of their fans, and when I was speaking to the guy from Notts County the other day as well, was saying he's too good for the league, he's too good for them, and he will progress up the league soon. They're really expecting that to happen. So we've been linked with him. Don't know how concrete that is, how much is really in it, or if it's lazy journalism again, but we'll see. Probably one that would suit us, to be fair. An attacking player. I think he can play wide as well. So someone that we need would probably play behind low if you go by Saturday's formation, replacing either Cullen or Patterson in that formation anyway. And then the last one, there was links about this, I want to say 2 weeks ago. Romain Mundell, we did mention it on the podcast, from Standard Liège. Have I said that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Fabrizio Romano's come in and, claimed there's been an offer turned down by Swansea today. So
so it was written off 2 weeks ago by a lot of accounts saying, it was just agent talk and stories that were getting sold to people. But it's come back, and it's come back saying Plymouth are also interested. A couple of other clubs as well mentioned. But by all accounts, we've bid, and I saw the fee was 500,000, and it was rejected. So, if it is true, do we think we'll go more than 500,000 for someone?
We're skint by the sounds of it, aren't we? So it's quite a low-profile player to be bidding multiple times for, I guess, is what I'd say.
Well, they've got a long list of targets that the data would have told them they're going to progress to be saleable assets. So,
he's very unproven, isn't he? I mean, you're going off of youth data, youth footage, if anything, because that's the only real games he's played back at Tottenham in Premier League 2. Not say I'm saying this when I ever watched him play. I'm not going to pretend to know the first thing about him. It's just I'm not sure by the looks of it, this is going to be somebody who comes in and has a major impact right now because he can't get near the squad in Standard Liège. There is a bigger club as well, is the one thing I will say, but it's alarm bells ringing a bit. He's been there 6 months and they're already trying to get rid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll wait and see on that one. But you never know. Maybe it's another Morgan Whittaker in the making in terms of we'll be on the beneficiary end this time. I'm joking.
One thing we're talking about transfers before we move on, I'm not sure how true it is, but potentially a 25% sell-on clause with Whittaker, and you got Brentford links, which would obviously be multi-million pound.
Brentford, Fulham, I think there was another club as well being mentioned now. So there's a couple of Premier League clubs. If it turns into a little bit of a battle, that might be good for us.
I saw 10 million Brentford again. Not sure how.
Yeah, I saw that, and then yesterday, by all accounts, there's a few more clubs in and running. Don't know how much it will come to fruition, or if it's one of them that they courted him and then wait till the summer, wait till he had a bit longer of a game sample in this league. But either way, if he continues to put the output out that he's doing for longer, hopefully that means the fee goes up. So
I hope they sell him now, because on the off chance they get relegated, it's not going to be 10 million anymore, you'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
also, though, they know if they sell him, they probably do get relegated. So it's tough one.
It's an odd one though. It's I don't know, because I didn't expect him to get to that level at all. Like, like a Brentford bid coming in.
I didn't think he'd get Premier League bids that quickly. Not after 6 months. I thought it'd be like Luke said, a full year at least.
No, it's just I don't know. Sometimes it just I know like we look at missed opportunities, like we said about Gyökeres, and Whittaker will probably be on that list if he goes into the Premier League. But sometimes it just doesn't fit, does it?
I think I can tell you. I saw the link a week or two ago, and I've seen a lot of things going on in the Premier League this week that I think are the reason for links like this, and that is all this drama around financial fair play and how clubs are being really scrutinised, they're scared to spend. You've got Newcastle skint, they can't afford to buy anyone without selling, and that's like they're the richest club in the league by all accounts. So Fulham would be we were listening to TalkSport with me, that Fulham fan saying they got money to spend, they're not out because they can't because of FFP. So maybe they're looking down the leagues, right? 10 million, I can afford 10 million on someone who's given a good output for that sort of money. Because if you got them stats in a Prem or another league top level, it's not 10 million, is it? And that's probably why they've been looking in these areas. And whereas before they would have wanted longer to see if they could prove it. You look at Gyökeres. What do you say was quoted for Gyökeres in the news?
86 million euros got turned down. All right in saying that.
Turned down?
Pretty sure turned down.
That would have been the quickest 86 million euros. Like, he only went for 20 odd million in the summer, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was £22 million plus. They do have a 15% sale on course commentary, so they're laughing. Imagine he goes for 80 mil, they'll be pocketing 12 just for that.
That's a hell of a profit for 6 months of football.
How does that happen? Like, it's just mad because he was not that player when he played for us, was he?
I mean, nobody can. It was like a system that was hoofball. We had a pitch that was literally diseased, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, God.
Time, but
forgot about that. Yeah.
It's baffling that he was here, didn't score a goal, and now he's got Arsenal coming after him, and their Premier League title contenders. It's nuts, absolutely nuts. That's one I won't have a go at the club for, because we only had him on loan, didn't we? But it's not the same as Whittaker.
He's just another Paul Areola at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. I mean, yeah, crazy. It's about time we have one of these that works for us, isn't it? Well, I guess we had Perot.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why Whittaker didn't work out, though, is because he was never getting ahead of Perot, was he?
It's different positions. We never had the system for it.
He wants to play, behind him.
No, I know, but there was no sort of position for him to play on the wing, and the only way he could compete was with Perot, wasn't it? So that was never going to happen.
He probably could have played instead of Cullen on the weekend.
Yeah.
It's probably good. That's probably where he excels.
Isn't it?
It's just I think Martin used to put him wider, didn't he? And maybe
he was wing back when he's not a wing back. It's wasted.
Yeah. Okay, let's touch on that quickly then. I know we run out of time. Southampton, 20 matches in all competitions, unbeaten, including the 5-0 win they got over us on Boxing Day. Now, I think this happens every year. There's a couple of wonky fixtures that you have them around Christmas and then in January again. I don't know why they do it this way, really. It's a bit annoying because if you're on a good run, like Southampton are, you're kind of getting them twice within that spell, and that's frustrating. But the way it works, the way it falls. Things have changed, though, and at the time we had Alan Sheehan in charge, and now we've got Luke Williams, who used to be Russell Martin's assistant at MK Dons and at Swansea. Now, they're saying they get on, everything's all nice and nice in the media, but at the time it was thought maybe something happened that resulted in Luke Williams leaving. Don't know the ins and outs of that. Don't know what it might have been. I feel like maybe if something did happen, it's probably a case of they respect each other in a mutual way. They probably know helped each other a lot in each other's careers. Nonetheless, I'm sure Luke Williams would love to have his old boss visit and get one over on him. Show who's the boss now, if you like. And Swansea probably want to look for revenge after getting drubbed 5-0. Definitely had too much turkey, didn't they, Christmas Day? Can we see that happening, though?
No.
That was straight to the point.
No, no. I mean,
and on that note, guys, we'll see you next week.
We're at the very start of the process, and I don't know how they've got to the end so quickly, but they're pretty much at the end of what Russell Martin's process looks like.
Should we call it something different? I feel like process is too much associated with that period.
I mean, it's
a different word.
He's done the same thing, though. It's just he's been back to do it. I think he achieved in 6 months what he wasn't back to do and failed to achieve in 2 years with us, is the truth. That what Southampton are now is what we would have been with back in, I think, back in for 2 years with our budget, and we're probably not far off what they've got now, minus the odd moment of just insane individual quality that comes with Premier League money, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Give him Josh Keane, you know what I mean? Give him Josh Keane, say a Latterboardier, right wing back, have Key on one flank, Manning on the other, Pro up front, keep Obafemi around, keep him happy. It could have been a different story. How much would Josh Keane have cost when Martin was here?
Well, they wanted to wait for him for free, didn't they? Clearly, that's what
we haven't even won for free, though. It's gone to the tribunal, isn't it?
It's because of age, though. That's the minimal you'll pay.
Yeah.
I think obviously they're going to pay less that way than what they were asking for.
It just baffles me. They must just really have hated Russell Martin, because they've now spent 3 million on Chohan and Kuharevich. Give Russell Martin 3 million. He got us Downs, Perot, and Obafemi not far off.
I think that any money we spent in the summer, they must have been fully intending on Perot leaving, and it's pre-spent, isn't it?
Yeah, but then I don't know. We don't know the ins and outs of the finances. We've had sales every year, is the point, right? Like, even I think at the start.
Yeah, but we say we sell 10. I would imagine like half goes into the kitty minimum. Sorry, not minimum, maximum, because we don't get the money to run the club. So some of the sales has to generate that, and then some goes into the players. And I know that's really frustrating to hear, and people are probably shouting at me right now, but that is the reality of us. I know we were talking about Southampton. We mentioned the financial fair play things of the Prem. Me and Lee were saying when we were listening to TalkSport the other day, if we did go up to the Premier League right now, in the state that it is in with the FFP and the scrutiny that they're under right now, I think we would really have a tough time, because I don't think the club brings in the revenue that you need to have that output to buy players to compete at that level. We'd really find it quite hard, I think.
Oh, you just take the 100 mil and go back down. You accept it, and you do a league basically. Like, we're not in a position to go and do what Nottingham Forest have done. Well, Nottingham Forest, they went and spent.
They're in trouble now, though, aren't they?
They stayed up, but now they're probably going to get points deducted.
Well, exactly, and look, geography plays a factor in terms of what sponsorship and income you can make. The one thing you can't say, I think, about our owners, as much as people might dislike them, they're business people, and they're people that are going to be able to maximise that stuff. And I think if even they're struggling to do that, we'd have a tough time. But that's a different conversation. But that's why I think we don't always see the transfer money coming back in. We had other conversations on the way up to Birmingham about, there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. Look at Reading, for example. And aren't you glad we're not in that situation in terms of ownership? And we spoke to the Morecambe fan recently who said quite similar things about their club. Ours doesn't look at any risk of financial trouble. And yeah, we make a sacrifice and not spending as much on nice players sometimes. And I would love to spend more on players, but I wouldn't like it to be at the cost of the club either.
Yeah, controversial opinion maybe, but we seem to all share it. We could do far worse. I realised they came in, they saw us as an investment, I think their plan was keep the club in the league for 5 years, flip us, double their money. Backfired massively, but I'd much rather be run the way we're being run than spending silly money.
Yeah.
Wages,
I think the Hugh Jenkins era was so good that we've gone to this, and it's an extreme difference. But it could be worse. It could be
we're in a different world of football now, though. Like, especially post COVID. Like, I don't see anybody across the Championship spending a lot of money apart from the parachute payment clubs.
No.
You don't see it. I get the frustration sometimes, and like you said, I would love for us to have, brought in players at that time, and I'd like to see us bring in more players now and then, but we're just not in that time anymore. And like you said, some of the owners that do kind of speculate and try and spend that money, they get in a lot of trouble. Like, look at Reading now. You think about what Reading were to where they are now, like literally fans running on the pitch and stopping the game. As frustrating as our owners are sometimes, I think we kind of got to accept that this is the situation it is at the minute in football. Luke Williams said that himself when he came in as well, though. He came in and said, like, look, the club's in a good position. We haven't got tons of money to spend, but he's like, it's in a good position. He said there are some clubs out there that are just out of control. Yeah.
And there hasn't actually been an awful lot of movement in the Championship as well. There's been a lot of, what I've seen, a lot of the movement is like loans getting recalled and sent somewhere else. That seems to be the biggest thing I've seen.
Yeah, but that seems to be a thing now. That never used to happen before. This is another thing we're saying, like post-COVID.
I think it's a product of what we're talking about. No one's got money.
I mean. It's just but you see it so much now where you think you get someone on loan for the end of the season, and then they get recalled in January and sent somewhere else. It's just happening so often now.
Yeah. The biggest signing, I think, from across the championship has got to be Carvalho going to Hull.
Yeah, that's class. And Twine went to Bristol City, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is probably a good signing as well.
Eric Galaxy as well.
Carvalho is a sort of signing that turns a mid-table team into a playoff team, doesn't it? If you look at Hull, you're sort of waiting for one team to step up and break out of that massive pack and put their name on that sixth spot. Hull now. I realise you shouldn't pin it all on one player. You get injured, he could just not perform. But that's
they've already got Philogene.
Yes,
and now they got Carvalho. Like they should be finishing in the playoffs now.
But they had that new owner come in, didn't they? Last season, in the last season. Now, what's the product of that going to be in a couple of years if they don't go up? You know,
same old story.
It could be wrong if they don't go up in the next 2 years, what money are they spending on Carvalho's wages? You know, from Liverpool, they have spent quite a lot of money, and they brought in that striker from Turkey, didn't they? And I think they spent quite a lot of money on him as well. So what are the repercussions of that in 2 years' time?
Championship's a casino. In fact, like, we're in a good position. We probably need to cut our wages as well, as does every single club in the league, because it's not a sustainable model at all. It's a sell to play sort of model where you need to earn money from transfers. So you're sort of relying on either teams who have just come down from the Premier League or Premier League clubs. And if they're being restricted in their spending as well, it just becomes more and more difficult for Championship clubs to survive.
And here's the fact, right? Sorry, go on.
I should say, who do we sell now? Who's the next one? Because there's always got to be a next one. Grimes looks like he's staying here for the long term now.
No,
it's got to be one of the centre backs, I think.
Cabango's really performing. It's Wood probably, right? And his value's probably dropped from what it was in the summer.
But this is what we were saying. Like, I know obviously Duff was what he was and not successful and everything, but I do kind of think, as well as Russell Martin leaving, that was kind of the end of the line of the players that we had. Like when Manning and Cham and Perot left in the summer, that was a ridiculous amount of goals and assists that had gone. And like you said, I think they were like the last of our potential, big money sales. I know Manning run his contract down at the end, and I don't think Cham went for much. But obviously Perot got a big fee. But we've always had a player where you're like, I don't know if we're going to keep hold of him in the summer. I wonder if he'll go. We had Downs, we had all these players. We are like, I hope he doesn't go. I hope Perot doesn't go.
It's probably
Josh
I don't know who
Key, that is.
I think, if he can stay fit.
But is he at that? I don't know if he commands a massive fee.
Not now. I think if he gets a full championship year or two, but his injuries are really plaguing that, I think, at the moment. And
yeah, but like Ben said, I think outside of Grimes and maybe Wood, there's nobody that will command a massive fee, will there?
Wood, you're looking at what, about $5 million now because of his age still.
Yeah,
Grimes,
and his contract's running down, isn't it? He's only got the 1 year trigger.
Yeah, which we will trigger, obviously. But
that's like next year. Then the fees, like, you're not getting the fee, are you? If he's not going to sign a new deal, which he might now under the new manager, we don't know. But if he decides he doesn't want to, he probably reached the peak of what we could have been offered for him.
I feel like as well, usually the players who move on or attacking talent, Lowe's on loan, and we may get him on a free, but obviously he's not going to command a fee. Cullen, even if he did command any sort of fee, his contract's running down. Patterson's contract's running down, and
he's like 33 as well.
Age.
Yeah,
Yates, you're not going to sell. You bought him to be the goal scorer. It hasn't happened yet, but hopefully in this new system it does. But past that, then, like you say, like our best performer of the season, in my opinion, is probably Rushworth, and he's on loan as well. So it's like,
yeah.
Maybe if Timon's form can stay where it was on the weekend, then there's one for future. But all of this is like, if it goes well, maybe the next January, these names, Key, Timon, will be names. But right now, there isn't really one, is there? You've got Parker coming through injured. Ollie Cooper a year ago, maybe we would have been saying, but he's fallen off. So it shows how it can go the other way as well.
Yeah, the point I'm leading to as well is if we can't identify where the money would come from sales, then it would be reckless and irresponsible to spend any major money. So I'd be shocked for the next, especially this window. I can see a loan or two, maybe, but no money being spent. And in the summer, I can't see any 7-figure fees being splashed out because if there's no money coming in, no money can go out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But that's part of the reason why these people get recalled from loan, don't they? I think, recalling Brandon Cooper to then sell him to Leyton Orient is probably part of the reason. They can probably
you could have just left him there and sold him to Leyton Orient, to be fair.
Yeah.
He was there anyway.
Yeah.
Weird. That's weird. The bottom line is, and the facts are right, people are getting worried about the transfer window. There's only been 2 transfers in the Championship that are fee related. That's Hull and Middlesbrough both spent. Sorry, Middlesbrough and Coventry have both spent 2 million on a player. Most of the rest have been loans. There's been 1 or 2 undisclosed, but usually nothing major is there with undisclosed.
We're not going up and we're not going down, so I'd be shocked if we spend any money at all. It would be a 6 months to identify what the squad needs, planned for the summer when more players are available, players are out of contract, players have 1 year in their deal, that sort of thing.
I think it's spot on. I think it'd be mad to try and force like a move now for the sake of it, and I think there's a lot of unnecessary pressure from fans for us to sign players, especially with what happened last January. I think it's kind of
the way they're all moaning about Watson.
We need to sign players. But I think you're right. I think don't sign a player unless it's one that they've identified that will fit the system, and they've got 6 months to embed a player in. But if it's not there, don't do it. Like I said, I don't think we're going anywhere this season, so let's not be too gung-ho in the transfer market.
I think there's some guys in the academy that deserve a chance, to be fair, as well. And if we're short in areas, maybe that will happen. I feel like it hasn't happened enough in the last 2 or 3 years. I would like to see a little bit more of it.
But I also think we've got enough. Like, I know everyone moans about like some of the players that we have signed, but I also think there is quite a lot there to work with when everyone's fit. Like when Key and Ashby are fit again.
Yeah.
Like when they're both fit. Like I'm surprised Ashby stayed. I thought he was going to go back when he got injured. But when he's fit again and Key, let's see what we can get out of them in the new system. Let's see what we got. I think there's enough there to see us out the season.
You're seeing Jerry Yates set on the bench a lot most weeks as well. I know he's not going to suit this new system, but Kuharevich just back fit. I don't think you can justify going out and spending money on a striker when we've got as many options as we do.
You might be okay. You might be okay in the system. We don't know. Like it could work because Luke Williams interchanges between 1 or 2 strikers.
I like him. I think his better chance was Michael Duff, personally. I'm just trying to... If it's similar to what we saw under Russell Martin, I don't see how a target man really fits in, like, at all.
But isn't that... one of the key players in the NOT system is a target man. He just interchanges whether there's a lone striker or 2, just to try and free up... what's his name? The one we linked with.
Longstaff, is it?
Yeah.
He's got a goal machine next to him, I guess, is the point. So
he
target man's sole purpose
takes the defenders away.
So then it's a case of, is Jerry Yates or Cullen or Lowe going to do that? And I don't know. Yates is the best chance you'd think of that, isn't it? But
need to get
also Kuharevich isn't like a typical target man, is he? Like, if we're being honest, the ball bounces up to him in the air or lands into the air. He really doesn't win it that often. He's quite an unorthodox sort of player. Someone I like the look of. He's different. I like different. I think there's potential there to...
He could be the next Gyökeres. Who knows?
Big statement, that, isn't
it? In 5 years' time when we're selling him for £100 million, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm joking. Clip it. But yeah, there is a few players there that can maybe feature towards the end. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure there will be a little bit of movement in the transfer window, but I wouldn't expect a great deal. But yeah, Southampton then, just to end, same team as Birmingham or any changes?
I don't know. It depends. I don't know who starts in that wing-back position now with Parker being injured. I don't know if Key or Ashby are fit enough to start. So it'd be interesting to see, because I'm assuming he's gonna have to stick with his system. So I don't know who's going to play on that wide right position now with Parker being out.
Cabango is apparently going to miss the game as well.
Is he? Well, that's what limits options.
Maybe comes in, does he? Or Pedersen, Humphreys goes there. I don't know. Darling goes there, and Humphreys and Pedersen in the middle. It's tricky, isn't it?
How long is Malafi here for now? Is he done?
Into Jan, isn't it? So I feel like I think they're waiting for Balassi to what happens in transfer window. If we don't get anyone, he's going to get an extension, I think. Because, to be fair, I understand that, and I feel like that's probably a good decision. because there's not much. If one or two injuries in that position, we were already quite short in forward areas. That's why he came in, with Gianelli being out.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think if there's nothing else on the table, just keep him there. I think we said that, didn't we, last time? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he fits in with this system because he's not going to play like wing back, is he? But
maybe Cullen's going to play wing back.
The only other thing he could do if he likes Ogbeta, switch Timon over to the other flank and put Ogbeta left wing back, potentially. As a one-off.
Can Ogbeta play right? I don't know.
I'd say put Ogbeta left and put Timon right.
No. I was just not sure. Like, is Timon? I feel like is more of a left only. I don't know anything about Ogbeta. I don't know if he's interchangeable. That's why I was just curious.
I guess the only reason I suggested that is because he's had such little game time. It would be criminal to put him out of position, wouldn't it?
I don't know what Abdullah's injury was, but if he's back, he could be an option.
If he's fit, he'd be there, probably.
I think the worry is that we're having this conversation and we're playing against the form team of the league.
Yeah, but their run has got to end at some point, surely.
Look, this is why we love football. I mean, the fact that it's thrown up, there's so many storylines in this. It's not just Martin coming back to his old club. It's Williams who was his assistant and 20 games unbeaten. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here now and say like it's written that we're going to end the streak, but I could just fully see this game being like 8-6. The way that I saw us defending last week.
That'd be quite nice to talk about next week if that is the case.
And the streaks like it's WrestleMania Undertaker time.
I genuinely think like we could literally be a game like that. So it's going to be good to watch. I think either way.
20-1. Yeah. Last thing we could do is put Darling right wing back and then stick Pedersen and Norton in.
I feel like because of how high they are, I don't know if that works.
I don't think anything we suggested works, but then we're lacking options now.
This is the problem.
Maybe Patino will go there.
Yeah, wing back.
I mean, it doesn't have to worry so much about marking people in the middle of the pitch then.
Yeah. I haven't been able to switch back on since you said about the Undertaker. I can see the meme now of 20-1 when the streak's broken.
So you need to get that ready to post.
And all the faces in the crowd.
That needs to be ready to post.
21-1 was the actual numbers.
Yeah, it was 21-1.
That could have been perfect. We're saying this like we're going to win. We're probably going to lose and lose badly. Is the truth of it. It'll be a fun game.
Yeah,
I'm working, so maybe it's good.
You see why Sky picked it up. There's so many storylines off this game. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm sure everyone is anticipating that clash, but we'll end the podcast here. Thank you, everyone, for listening, as always. Yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks for us, and I guess now we're into the new regime. If we can start progressing the right way, we can move on up with the team. But yeah, we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Lee, for joining me, and we shall catch you next week.
See you soon.
Bye.